Okay, so welcome everybody to the Phoenix Rising experience, where I'm going to be sharing with you a three-part method that I feel like I've been working on for years. It feels like everything that I've been doing over my own journey over the past 10, 15 years has led me to this point. So I'm very excited to be able to offer this to you today. It's a long time coming, it feels like. So, yay! So there is a journaling prompt guide that I will be sending to you, and whether you're watching live or whether you're watching the recording, you can come back to this and go through it a few times, because there may be things that will come up for you as we go through this process, and you want to dive a little bit deeper, then you can use the journaling prompts to help you. So this isn't going to be your usual menopause session. We're not going to be diving deep into how to fix your hormones or the food you should be eating, none of that kind of stuff, because that is not what I do. I'm a transformational life coach and I work with women going through big transformational journeys. And one of those big transformational journeys is perimenopause, and I'll dive a little bit deeper into my own story. So this is going to be where we're going to be diving deeper into energy work, because energy is the currency of the universe, and where your attention goes, your energy flows. And so if we're focusing on our body's innate wisdom to come into alignment, especially at this time, going through perimenopause and menopause, then we want to build that trust and deep belief that our body is working for us. And when we give it the right space and conditions and opportunity, then it will continually come back into alignment. And so we'll be working with that, and we'll be discussing how I don't believe that our body is broken during this time, and that you don't need to be fixed. And I think that can be a breath of fresh air, really, to realize you don't need to be fixed. So maybe just let that land, let that settle, and know that everything is kind of working for you, even though it doesn't feel like it. It's bringing you to this place to dive deeper into how you can reconnect with yourself on a deeper level, and see perimenopause as a portal. And so as our cycles are changing and we start that kind of decline into not having a bleed every month, our attention is shifting from nurturer to wisdom keeper. And that single pointed focus, and everything and anything that doesn't serve us during this time, it comes to the surface to be acknowledged and to be released. And so that is what we're going to uncover during this time together, because this is a deep period of transformation and a rite of passage. And a rite of passage is an event marking an important time in a person's life. And there's a few different points in women's lives: when we start our period, when we become mothers, and when we go into menopause and we stop our monthly cycle. These are big rites of passages for women. And the only one we really celebrate is the one where we become a mother, when we get pregnant. We don't celebrate starting our period, and we don't celebrate ending our period. And I really want to change that for women as they go through this period, because it is a hugely important part of your life. And there's a lot that needs to be let go of and reclaimed. And so treat this as a full body, mind, and energetic activation. Stay present, stay open with what you experience and what you receive and what comes up for you. So we're going to first start by doing a grounding exercise just to bring us into this space so that we can remain open and put aside any judgments, any beliefs as to how this will go. And we'll leave those at the door and you can pick those up on the way out. So get yourself into a comfortable seated position. Maybe roll the shoulders back and down, lift through the crown of the head, and start to bring your awareness to your breath. Breathing in and out through the nose, maybe, or in through the nose and out through the mouth. Start to bring yourself into your space and gather up all of your attention, your awareness, your energy from wherever it's been and wherever it's yet to go. Bring it into the midline, so the crown of the head, the electrical impulses that run down the spine, and send your energy down through the tailbone, down through the earth, all the way to the core, and wrap your awareness energy around the core of the earth like an anchor so that you become tethered, you become grounded, you become connected. And then you can draw that back up through the earth, back up through your tailbone, back up through your midline, and nestle into your heart space. And just take a moment to notice how that feels. And then take your awareness behind your eyes, your mind's eye, and become the observer. And so taking your awareness backwards slightly will take you out of that being in the seeing things from your usual way of seeing things and being able to take a wider viewpoint of what to experience during this our time together. So who am I? As I said, I'm a transformational life coach and I work with women going through big life shifts. And one of those is perimenopause. And my own transformational journey started over 10 years ago. And so I spent 5 years trying to get pregnant in my mid-30s. And I spent a lot of my time trying to fix my hormones. I had underactive thyroid, I had endometriosis, and I really spent a lot of time doing a lot of research and trying lots of different things, and nothing really was working for me. And after two pregnancy losses, I experienced such deep grief that I've never experienced before. But it opened me up to connecting with my higher self, and that changed everything for me. And it was an opportunity to release everything that was not serving me, not true to self. I was working a lot with cycle syncing. I got pregnant very easily after that because I was more in alignment and there wasn't this force and struggle and control. And I was deep in the inner wisdom of the body and trusting the wisdom of the body. And then perimenopause hit, and it felt like I had to start all over again. I didn't actually know what was happening. I'd stopped breastfeeding my son, and it kind of hit me like a train: depression, anxiety, brain fog, periods just all over the place from going from a very regular cycle. And I went in search of answers like we all do. We start to Google what is going on, and started to follow lots of people and take on lots of people's advice. And I bought into perimenopause being the zone of chaos. And for a moment, I forgot my power. I forgot how intelligent the body is. I forgot my inner wisdom. And then I remembered, then I remembered how incredibly intelligent the body is. And I reconnected with my inner wisdom. And I have now spent the last 2 years using everything that I have learned myself to come back into alignment. So to stop listening to the external noise and really trust that my body knows, and it will lead me along with higher self guidance, and really tuning into my intuition. And today I feel absolutely amazing. Lots of energy, clear mind, lots of clarity, very clear on my direction and focus. And I believe that's because I trusted my own body and my own wisdom. And this is what I want to try and get across to you today, to help you release your old stories, your old beliefs about this time, and that you need fixing. So how this is going to go, we're going to talk about 3 phases. First one is reclaiming our full selves, acknowledging the false identity and what's not serving us anymore, and how we can release that, how we can reclaim ourselves during this time. Then once we've done that, we can start to align. So that's working with our new emerging cycles and learning how to ride the wave instead of trying to control and force it. We come more into balance. And then once we've done that, we can start to rise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a journey, a guided journey where we're going to connect with your higher self. So we're going to get your higher self online so that you can start to tune into your own inner wisdom and let that guide you, let that be your guide, as opposed to all of the external noise that pulls you out of alignment. So then we get to play. This is when the fun starts to really happen. So we're going to start with reclaim, and this is calling all parts of you back home. Okay, so coming to reclaiming who we are and who we're meant to be, and releasing those old stories. And so as I was saying, your body isn't broken. What if we could look at it as your body is trying to speak to you? And as your hormones are shifting, what they're doing is removing the barrier that has been keeping everything stuffed down, everything that you've been trying to stuff down throughout your life. That barrier is now removed, and everything is coming to the surface to be cleared, to be released, to be rewritten, and so that you can enter the portal, as I see it, in your most empowered version possible. And so what if you saw your symptoms as sacred signals? So the exhaustion and the brain fog, the rage, the lack of joy, and the disconnection from yourself and others. What if you could see them as signals? Because they're rooted in energetic and emotional imprints. So what does that mean? They're patterns we absorb from our family, from society or culture about how to behave. So self-sacrificing, silencing ourselves, the need to be perfect, and to not ask for help. to struggle on. And this is all about stored emotional experiences like guilt and fear and shame that shapes our identity and our reactions. And this isn't just, it's not in our mind. This lives in our body and our energy field. And so how might these show up for you? So we repeat roles such as the martyr, the caretaker, the good girl, to the point that we exhaust or limit ourselves. And then the body holds this tension and it leads to further symptoms like the rage, the anxiety, the brain fog, the exhaustion. And so why does this matter in perimenopause? It demands that deeper alignment with our true self. And the body is asking us to clear these old imprints and reclaim our natural energy, our voice, and our joy. Can you remember the joy? Can you remember joy? Maybe it's been a long time, I think, for a lot of us. And so what if we saw them as signals? What would that look like? So what if exhaustion was about chronic self-abandonment? And if we looked at that as a signal, how can we work with that? So maybe by learning to ask for help. I mean, how does that land? Asking for help, I think that's a big one for women. We really struggle to ask for help to the point where we become exhausted. So reframing that so that we can start to release the exhaustion and start to reclaim our energy. And what about rage? If we looked at rage, what if rage was your boundaries are being violated? And if we looked at that from your boundaries are being violated, well, how can we support ourselves? So one of the things that we can do is learning to say no. And that again is a big challenge for women. So it's a practice, starting to say no for the small things when we can feel it in the body, feels like the rage is building. Okay, I need to start saying no to people. So practicing that and saying yes to things that actually fill our cup, fill us with joy, fill us with energy. So when we start to play about with the yes and the no, we start to bring ourselves back into alignment, and there's no need for the rage to build up inside of us. And so what if we look at brain fog? What if brain fog was a mental overload and disconnection from our intuition? And so instead of forcing and controlling, we learn to let go and we learn to trust and we listen to that inner guidance and we let that lead the way. And that is something that can be deeply uncomfortable for us. So then we get brain fog telling us that we need to listen and slow down and tune in and focus on what is actually really important and release everything that isn't serving us. And one final one, hot flushes. This is in the later stages of perimenopause and can go through, I've heard women in their 60s still experiencing hot flushes. What if this is your inner fire rising and it's showing us where our triggers are? So when a hot flush is rising, can you tune into where you're being triggered so that you can start to reframe this experience and really honor the inner fire that is within you? It resonates a lot. Yeah, amazing. Okay. So what if we go a layer deeper? to the symptoms and we start to actually look at the roles that I was just talking about in relation to our symptoms. So the martyr, the caretaker, the good girl, energetically, they are costing you everything. And during perimenopause, the body becomes less tolerant of anything that drains or suppresses your truth. So as we go through these, maybe you'll just let me know again in the chat if any of these are resonating with you. The martyr, always putting everyone first, even when it burns you out. So this is linked to chronic exhaustion, adrenal fatigue, low mood. And this is when the body is whispering, I'm tired of carrying what was never mine to hold. And so what if, for a moment, start to put down what isn't yours to carry and you start to put yourself first and notice what happens when you do, even small amounts throughout the day, where you can feel that martyr rising within and the rage is building, tuning in what would support me in this moment. Maybe it's making a cup of tea and going to take a 5-minute break outside or in the bedroom, wherever you've got a little cozy spot that you can go and take your tea and you can go and decompress for a few moments. So you're starting to put your needs first. So then we've got the caretaker, over nurturing others, often at the cost of your own needs. So very similar to the martyr, but it's kind of like where the martyr is like you're self-sacrificing. The over nurturer is we're over giving and we're overdoing to the point of exhaustion. And you know where you do it. I mean, I do it with my son. It's like I do things when I think I'm helping him because it would save time, when actually it doesn't serve either of us for me to over support him. And so maybe giving people more responsibility and again asking for more support. This resonates so much. I feel going to a martyr mode multiple times throughout the day. Yeah. Okay. So it's great. It's great when we can observe these patterns, when we go into these patterns, so that we can start to then backtrack and change our course so we don't end up experiencing the exhaustion, the rage, the brain fog. Because as I say, they are signals to the way that we are behaving in our own lives, and it's taking responsibility for that, and that can be another big challenge. Okay, so when we're in caretaker mode, this is leading to resentment and anxiety and an emotional dysregulation. And so the nervous system stays in high alert and it's unable to regulate. And this is when we struggle to switch off at the end of the day, and it's hard for us to go to sleep, or maybe we wake up in the middle of the night and we can't switch our thoughts off. So maybe if we're in that caretaker mode and we notice that during the day, where can we take a step back so that we're honoring ourselves and we don't get to that point of nervous system dysregulation? Then we have the good girl. So trying to please everybody but ourselves. And we have to be perfect. And we can't be too much and we can't be too loud. It's that too much kind of syndrome where we're not actually honoring who we are, and we're really holding ourselves back so that we don't offend others with our too muchness in this world. So we shrink ourselves and we suppress ourselves. And this is linked to the suppressed rage and our lost identity. And that's when we come to perimenopause and we realize, who the F am I? I don't know, because I've suppressed myself for so long. I no longer know who I am. And this is old, deep, generational, ancestral, societal conditioning. So, and then we have the peacekeeper. So, avoiding conflict, swallowing opinions, keeping the peace, just because we don't want to deal with the drama and the conflict and the what it brings up. It means that we might have to have an uncomfortable conversation with somebody, and maybe there's an argument because we don't agree, and so we push that down and we keep our opinions to ourselves because we don't want to offend people, bringing in the good girl again. And this is linked to throat issues. So this is why, there are a lot of women who have thyroid issues. And personally, myself, and when I started to speak my truth and come back into alignment, I actually healed my thyroid. It wasn't through medication. It was through speaking my truth. It was speaking up. It was having and being in conflict with people. And I came back into balance. And so and this is tension, it's brain fog, it's hot flushes. And so when the unexpressed truth tries to rise through the heat, through the overwhelm, through the fog, they're all trying to show us something. And so really tune into these roles. Maybe they're all of them, but maybe there's one specific one that resonates with you. What are you ready to release? You can drop it in the chat or you can just write it down. Just taking a moment to acknowledge whatever that is. You'd like to get your power back. I know it's all happening for me, not to me. Amazing. Yeah. And when we do this, when we start to acknowledge where we have stepped out of alignment through these roles, then we can start to really reclaim the power. Why this matters: when we release these outdated roles, your energy starts to return. Your body comes back into greater harmony. Your voice becomes clearer and stronger. Your confidence in self, your trust in self, these all start to rise. And when these all rise and come into alignment, this is when we can deeply connect back to joy. Because I don't know about you, but I lost that for a long time. And I think a lot of women feel the same. We come into these roles and it can feel like a burden because we're holding and carrying so much of the weight. There isn't time for joy. Don't even remember what that feels like. But when we can start to release these outdated roles, the joy, yeah, the joy. And it's so important. It's so important. And finding just small pockets throughout the day, the sunrise, the birds when they're singing, when the kids go to bed. There's that time to yourself, or just there's moments throughout the day where you can find, I can just be here and I can be present and I can focus on my breath. I'm breathing, I'm alive, and finding the joy in that. And so, are you willing to let go of who you've been so that you can become who you are truly meant to be? So, we're going to move into the second part. This is where we align. We can start to align more with the natural rhythm that is happening during this phase. And the theme of this is you're not meant to feel the same every day. You are cyclical. You are not linear. And so this is where the infradian rhythm comes in. And this is about working with the 4 phases of the cycle, because our cycles, you know, we have this thing where it's 28 days. And for me, that's not the case. It kind of would fluctuate between 27 maybe and 32. And that was my cycle. And now it's kind of, you know, it's 15 days to 40. And so now that range has grown and we kind of have to work with that. It's like this, it's like breath, it's like breathing, and we start to work with that cycle. But when we look at it in 4 phases, like the seasons, then it's a lot easier for us to do things that are more in sync with our cycle. And so we start with winter. And this is when we have our menstruation. This is when we're bleeding. It's when progesterone starts to, it declines, and our lining sheds. And this is a time, if you look at winter in nature, it's when everything is going to sleep. It's hibernation time. It's like it's going deeply inwards. This is a time of deep, deep rest and reflection. And maybe you're not able to go into that deep rest and hibernation for however long your period is, but maybe you can for the heaviest day of your bleed, for example. You can let go of everything that's in the calendar. We don't make any plans. We don't really go out. We eat the nourishing food. But tuning into the body, your body will tell you what it wants. And so listening to that, it's that time of really letting go so that we can move into that next part of the cycle, cleaner, clearer. So it's really at this point, it's really going inwards and it's really taking care of yourself. And then, so when we've moved out of that phase, we move into the spring phase. So the follicular phase, it's when we're developing the follicle for the egg to be released. It's when the estrogen and testosterone start to rise. And with that, it starts to boost our energy, our creativity. And this is when we can plan for the rest of the month. And we can then start to sync with our cycle. And so this is when it's great to make those big plans so that we can execute them with more energy. Then we move into summer. This is ovulation, and this is when we're releasing the egg. And this is all about connection and visibility. It's when our estrogen and testosterone are at their peak level, and we want to be seen. We want to connect with people. So plan those events, be social, get yourself out there. Make those presentations if you're doing those kinds of things at work, for example. Have those conversations with people that you know that you need to have conversations with, because you're in that deep alignment, you're in that most confident phase, you're able to kind of sway the conversation. So have those big conversations then. And then we start to move into autumn. And this is the luteal phase. And this is when estrogen and testosterone are starting to decline and progesterone is starting to build. And this is the time for setting boundaries. This is when we want to be very clear on our no's and getting in that support system to help us during this period. And this can be like a 2-week period. So we're closing down those projects, we're closing down that to-do list, we're completing all of those. This is the time where we start to go inwards and start to release. And so that we're ready for the next winter phase. And when we start to do this with our cycle, you'll start to see you will have more energy when you need to have energy. You'll trust yourself when you need to go inwards. You'll not say yes to all those plans during the autumn phase and the winter phase. And obviously, during perimenopause, this changes because sometimes we don't ovulate and we don't have that peak estrogen, testosterone. It's kind of like the rug is pulled from underneath us and we go drop straight into the autumn period, and it can be very, very uncomfortable. So this is when it's kind of more erratic. This is when it's really, really good to actually track your cycle. So in the PDF, there's a whole section about cycle syncing and working with your cycle, what kind of exercise maybe you want to do during the different times, different journaling prompts and stuff like that. So there's loads of information in there to help you work with your cycle. Okay. Okay, so we're going to move into the third phase, and this is where we get to rise. And this is about the version of you you're becoming, and it's already within you. We just need to access it. And so you've reclaimed your truth. We've been working on that. You've aligned with your rhythm. We've been working on that. And now it's time to rise and remember who you really are. So we're going to do a guided journey. So if you want to be seated, you want to lie down for this, and we're going to connect with our higher selves. We're going to either bring them online or we're going to reconnect with them. So maybe this is not necessarily new for you, but we're going to allow them to start guiding you. So get yourself into a comfortable position, whether that is seated or lying down, and start to bring your awareness to your breath. Maybe breathing in and out through the nose, or in through the nose and out through the mouth. And gather your awareness in to the midline, to the crown of the head, the electrical impulses that run down the spine. And send your awareness down through your tailbone and into the earth. And drop it through the earth like an anchor. Wrap it around the core. Become tethered once more, grounded, connected. And draw that back up through the earth, back up through the tailbone, through the central column, and into your heart space. And then we're going to open up to universal life force energy. And we're going to bring that down like white light. Imagine white light coming down, cascading over your body, your energetic field, knocking off anything in your energetic field that does not serve you in this moment. And you can place that in an envelope or suitcase, metaphorical suitcase, and place it outside of your energetic field, outside the room you're in. And allow this white light to enter the crown of your head, through your spiritual antenna, the pineal gland, through the throat, and allow that to nestle into your heart space as well. So we are connected from above and below. And then take your awareness to behind the eyes, the mind's eye, and become the observer. You observing you. And I want you to take your awareness upwards. And imagine you are standing in a forest. And you can hear the birds chirping, and the wind is rustling through the trees' branches. And there's just a plethora of vibrant shades of green all around you. And you can see a path in front of you. And the sunlight is shining through the trees on this path. And you start to walk along. And you walk along until you get to a clearing, an opening, to a field filled with wild flowers. And there are so many beautiful colours, oranges, yellows, reds, purples. And the fragrance from the flowers is just intoxicating. And the path continues through this field of wildflowers. And you're starting to go upwards, up a hill, through the field, maybe running your fingers through the tall grass as you move. You're making your way up the hill until you find yourself at the start of a mountain. And you're making your way up and around the mountain. And as you do, you can see the most glorious sight below you. Valleys and rivers and forests. You can see the sun shining and a clear blue sky. And you see in front of you a golden eagle. A huge, magnificent golden eagle. And she flies down towards you. And she flies through a crystalline opening in the mountain. And you follow her in. And she takes you to a temple, a crystalline temple inside the mountain. And you've been here before because this is the place that you connect with your higher self. And the eagle lands in front of you. And she transforms. She transforms into your higher self. Notice what form she takes today. And she has something to share with you. She has a gift because she's been waiting for you to return for so long. She's so happy. She's so happy to see you. And you accept this gift. Notice what it is. Maybe it's a symbol. Maybe it's something that she wanted to share. Notice what she gives you. And you ask her, what would she like to tell you? What do you need to know that's going to support you in the next part of your journey? Maybe she answers you now. Maybe it will come to you afterwards. But trust, it's all happening in divine timing. And you tell her that you are going to connect with her more frequently, that you are ready to be guided, you are ready to be supported, you are ready to be held. And just notice if there's anything else that she wants to share with you. You tell her that you will see her again, and she's so, so happy that she gives you a big hug. She is with you, and she is you. Notice how it feels to be in connection with your higher self. And then she transforms once more into the golden eagle. And she invites you to jump on her back. And she flies out of the inner temple. And you know that you can come back here at any time. And she flies down through the mountain and the valleys, through the field of wildflowers, and drops you at the entrance to the forest. And you say your goodbyes for now, knowing that you will see one another very soon. And you walk back through the forest, back to the place that you started. And you bring your awareness back behind your eyes, your mind's eye, you observing you. You bring your awareness back to your breath. And when you feel ready, if your eyes were closed, you can open them now and come back into this space. And you can journal on anything that came to you, how it was connecting with your higher self. And so it's really important to maintain this connection to the higher self. And so one way of doing that is you can obviously go on that journey, but there's no need because you've connected with them now. You've brought them online. One way is to just connect with your heart and allow your heart energy to expand, to fill the whole of the universe. And then we invite them in and we ask them to guide us. We thank them for all the wisdom that they give us. So that's a really nice, short way to connect every day. I felt goosebumps and a lump in my throat. Felt so happy. Oh, it was amazing. That's so beautiful. I'm so happy for you. I love it when we connect with our higher selves because the energy is just It's so powerful, it's so potent, and it makes us remember that we are not alone on this journey, because it can feel quite lonely, especially when we're going through perimenopause. Um, you aren't alone, and that you can always call on them for guidance. Okay. So there's a couple more prompts, journal prompts for you in the PDF. Um, but just maybe take a moment to tune into what you're ready to step into. What does this version of you, maybe, what do they feel like? What do they look like? What do they do each day? What kind of rituals or habits do they have that are more supportive, that are going to help you navigate this transformational portal with more ease, with more grace, with more joy? And just know that this is just the beginning. And this is just the beginning of this journey that you are on. This is just the beginning of the journey that we could be on together. And so if this has supported you, it's resonated with you, you feel like you would like to continue, then know that you're not alone, and you are invited to continue to rise in the way that your soul is ready for. And I am here to support you on that journey. So if you want to continue working with me, then get in touch, and I would love to support you even further.